Grove City Council meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Broadwater. Here. Councilmember Doe.
Here.
Councilmember Wynn.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jones. Mayor Dalton.
Here. We'll have the invocation by Keith Jones, the Public Works Director, and the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Doe.
Dear Lord, we ask for your blessing over this meeting. In the midst of the busy and complex world we live, let your will be clear and let your
We wanted to make sure nobody was sleeping. Okay, we had one closed session item for council and no reportable action was taken. I see we have a presentation.
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor, and I'd like Keith Jones to make the presentation this week.
Thank you, Mr. Fertal. This evening, the Garden Grove City Council makes a special presentation to the Garden Grove Police Department in honor of Police Memorial Week 2009. This week of May 10th through the 16th is designated as National Police Memorial Week in honor of our nation's law enforcement heroes who were killed in the line of duty. Each year, Garden Grove pays tribute to its own fallen five: Myron Trapp, Andy Reese, Donald Reed, Michael Rainford, and Howard Dallies Jr. during the annual Garden Grove Police Memorial. This year, a special unveiling of the Garden Grove Police Officers Memorial Highway sign will take place during the memorial ceremony. In homage to Garden Grove's own fallen sons, the Garden Grove City Council has proclaimed the week of May 10th through May 16th as Police Memorial Week in the city of Garden Grove. At this time, Mayor Dalton will present Garden Grove's Police Chief, Joe Polisar, with the proclamation.
As you said, this is a very special week. Garden Grove has the unfortunate distinction of having lost more police officers than any other municipal police department in Orange County. The memorial that the council supported out in front of our building is really a model. It's been copied many places around the country, and we're just grateful that the city council and the citizens have supported the department to the level that they do, and we thank you for this honor.
Thank you very much, Chief. Okay, I'll now open oral communications for the council and the agency. Mark Lowry.
Good evening. My name is Mark Lowry, and I represent the Community Action Partnership of Orange County. We're a private charity based in Garden Grove with facilities on Knott and Lamson Street. One of the many services we provide in Orange County is operation of the Orange County Food Bank. And as you might imagine, at a time of economic crisis like we're experiencing now, requests for food assistance have skyrocketed at our facility. So we're thankful for every group that does a food drive to help us provide service to the community. You may be aware that the City of Garden Grove employees held a food drive for us very recently. And maybe our average food drive is the food bank delivering barrels to either side of a door in a company, a school, a church, a temple, a synagogue, or a service club or organization in Orange County. But oftentimes there's a little promotion or planning that goes along with that. Well, I'm here to share with you that there was nothing average about the food drive that your employees did for the food bank. They enlisted every ounce of creativity and competition and compassion that they have. They, in an effort to collect both food and money, had some restaurant-style lunches, a pancake breakfast. They had a nacho bar, sold breakfast burritos, iced coffee, ice cream, and pizza lunches, and even had a dog show, all in the name of charity. So the results of that were that 1,850 pounds of food was collected, as well as $5,570.24. So show great leadership on the part of the people that helped organize this, and a couple of the greatest cheerleaders and promoters of that were Elaine May and your own city manager. So our thanks to the leaders who helped make all of that possible. I came this evening. We do, again, hundreds of food drives, but it's very rare for us to find a group of people that have such a good time doing such a good deed. And at a time where so many municipalities are suffering with incredibly low morale from budget crises, this issue of hunger gave something for your employees to rally around and provided service for the community and a great morale boost for your employees as well, and something that we hope other cities in Orange County model. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bob Owens.
I want to say a special prayer for the police officers in the police department. You know, their sacrifice keeping this town safe. Maddie, you did a good job. Your people raised money for the homeless, got food. It was a good mark, okay? Even though I've cascaded that staff over there, but this was a good move, Maddie. Bulldozer. I'll tell you one thing, Bulldozer. The Mormons take care of the Mormons. Ain't no doubt about that. A person told me, he said, well, you know, I voted for Robin, and I don't know if she was tough enough to be on the city council. I said, don't you worry, she'd have been tough enough. If she'd have got on this council, she'd have fooled a lot of you. Huh, Robin? She's got a set of brass knuckles. And if you don't think she's tough, you better take a second look at her. Huh? She just acts nice. And the absentee ballots are what beat you. See? No reflection on you, Andrew. But people tell me, well, you know, the Vietnamese want to take over the council. I say, no, they do a better job in getting their people out on the absentee ballots. Huh? We know how to do it. They learn from us. But they do the job on the absentee ballots. That's where they win. And the juice, the money the developers give them. By the way, I met your family, Steve. The restaurant. Got a nice wife, nice family. That restaurant needs, I won't mention the name, it needs its heads overhauled. Huh? And there's a few more in Garden Grove, the restaurants. They're stink pots. Huh? An East End. Now, guy asked me, he says, you know Bill Dalton? I said, yeah, I know them all. I've been going down there for 25 years. Huh? Talking in front of this microphone. Been cascaded, been criticized, huh? Had people turn their heads up like this, embarrassed to know me. Huh? And, well, how much money is Bill Dalton worth? What do you want to know for? What's that got to do with it? Don't you know? I probably do. But that's me, huh? But I won't say anything, Bill. Yeah. It's all right. You ain't going to starve. That's okay. Good for you. You did good. Did a good job, Bill. Coming in Garden Grove, raising your family, and doing what you did. I'm not knocking you. Huh? You know, Whitey's got to get his act together. Huh? You know, I mean, we got people calling us racist, and we sit down. We don't do nothing when we ain't racist. When that preacher for the president called us racist, and I went bonkers, people said, well, why did you do that? Because I'm not a racist. Hey, the American people are not a racist. White people are not racist. Yeah, they done some things they shouldn't have done. That's for sure, the minority of them. Hey? But, you know, if we were to start a white organization, Whites for Justice, huh? And justice for everybody could join, and we made a march down on Main Street, you know what you'd have? You'd have the FBI, the CIA, and the Mother's Auxiliary investigating us, huh? Thinking the Ku Klux Klan came back, huh? And we all fought for civil rights, huh? I remember I was at the Watts Parade, after the riot, 67. I went to, you know, what's the matter? What's the matter? Okay, I'll go. Went down, there's only a white boy there. I better blend in good. Huh? You know, huh? What organization we got to go to? We're the only race of people in the United States that don't have an organization to go to. All the rest of them do. I'm not knocking it. Hey? You know what I mean? But if you don't stand up when there's not racism, everybody can take a shot at you. Huh? A lot of people think the Civil Rights Act and the Civil Rights laws are working against us in reverse. I don't know if they are or not. Now, Van Tran said he could run against Sanchez. The father, the godfather of Saigon, I don't know, they said, he's not my godfather. I don't know yours either, I don't know. But Sanchez said, let's get it on. Huh? She's going to absentee ballots. I told the Hispanic, what you got to do is learn absentee ballots. Learn to bring in that vote. Because you don't, they listen to you. We ought to have an Hispanic on this council with the population that they have. Learn politics. Get those absentee ballots. Bring them in. Take them to the polls. Huh? Yeah, I know my time's up. You get a lot more, Bill, for developers. Huh? I run over a little bit. See? You know? I run over a little bit. You know, I got a guy in Garden Grove. I know a relative of his. Huh? Every time I see him, he hugs me. Oh, bah. And then when he's with a group of people, he goes like this. Huh? What the hell's wrong with this guy? Why does he do what he does? You know why? He's ashamed to recognize me in front of a group of people because I come down here and voice my opinion. Huh? Yeah, Bill. Okay. You know, Bill, one more thing I want to tell you. You ain't got to go down to the big hotel and tell people at the big state of the city. Okay? You do it right over there.
Okay.
See, yeah, I know you told me okay, but I don't know if you believe me or not, Bill. Right over there in that room right there. And let everybody know.
Okay. Thank you.
And
Bob.
Garden Grove, council will get more money.
Thank you, Bob. Rod Powell.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, Garden Grove residents. I've been reading from the Anatomy of Safe and Sane Fireworks Sales in Orange County. This is the grand jury report. By the time I'm through, you will have heard it through. We're on page number 8, and we're on alternatives. The 2007-2008 grand jury found that cities that allow the sale of legal fireworks do little to encourage nonprofits in finding other forms of fundraising. Churches, youth groups, service clubs, and school districts in other Orange County cities use bingo games, band competitions, candy and cookie dough sales, car washes, sale of sport logo items, and community solicitations and sponsorships, to name a few methods. City officials are of the general opinion that it is the only reason for so much resistance by the participating nonprofits is that they are reluctant to forego the quick revenue of fireworks sales, since this revenue requires little effort and no upfront cost. The grand jury found that the same city councils that allow the sale of legal fireworks and are hesitant to put the issue before the voters are now reluctant to sponsor or allow sponsorship of any public display of fireworks. All these cities except Stanton have the public space available for such displays. In the past, there have been public fireworks displays in these cities. Most recently, Garden Grove helped sponsor a one-time fireworks display in 2006 as that city celebrated its 50th anniversary. Safety officials agree that a public display in lieu of the sale of legal fireworks is much safer and it is much easier to enforce traffic and crowd control. The detonation of pyrotechnics is managed by professionals. Public displays usually draw a friendly gathering of families and community members. Public safety issues. Even the most ardent supporters of legal fireworks sales cannot deny that there is a dark side to the detonation of fireworks. Law enforcement officials, firefighters, paramedics, public works employees, and animal control officers deal with the worst results of legal fireworks sales. The 4th of July is the busiest day of the year for all safety personnel, primarily due to the sale and use of legal and illegal fireworks. They are constantly running from call to call most of the day. Social disorder, injuries to persons and property, clogged streets where the free movement of safety vehicles and timely response to incidents are frustrated, littered public sidewalks and public streets, debris-strewn catch basins, and unhealthy air that reeks of detonated fireworks are all significant results of the sale of legal fireworks. The most common characterization used by safety personnel when describing their community on the evening of the 4th of July is war zone. Another law enforcement official's description was a 2 to 3 hour of controlled anarchy. The grand jury found that the additional cost of public safety services for the 4th of July increased taxpayer burden which is not shared by the nonprofit organizations. Most of the calls for service are firework-related for both legal and illegal fireworks. In 2007, the added safety-related cost for 4th of July enforcement was as follows. Buena Park, $30,000. Costa Mesa, $18,170. Garden Grove, $100,000. Santa Ana, $34,564. Stanton, $5,217. Total, $187,951. I'm going to stop on this reading for tonight. I had a couple points briefly that I wanted to bring up. I ran into Mark Rosen a couple Saturdays ago when I went out to eat over at the New Seoul Korean Barbecue Buffet, which is at 9902 Garden Grove Boulevard. That's on the south side of Garden Grove Boulevard between Gilbert and Brookhurst. I've been going there for over 20 years, about once a week. It's just a great place to eat, and it's in Garden Grove. And on the Orange County Food Bank, I've known Mark Lowry for a long time. I have a nonprofit, and they handle things at that place about as professionally as can be done. It's a great organization. Steve Jones, one comment that you made about this report being ridiculously biased. I think we deserve an explanation. The people that put this together deserve more than just a snide comment, ridiculously biased. You know, I really do. That's all. They deserve a little more explanation. Andrew Doe, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I will say that we citizens, we deserve an explanation. There's enough controversy over your supposedly being a carpetbagger.
Okay,
we
wrap it up.
deserve an explanation.
Thank you, Rod.
That's all I have. Thank
Okay.
you.
Robin Macario.
Good evening, Council. I'm Robin Marcario, lifelong resident of Garden Grove. Just a couple of things to commend our city staff for their efforts in helping with the food bank. That's exemplary and one of the many things that their staff does for our community. I'll have to agree with Bob. We certainly need a Spanish speaker on the council. Es importante tener alguien que se puede hablar en español. And the last thing that I wanted to bring up was I know that the council in general has made great efforts in combating graffiti in our city by, one, increasing staff and equipment, also by recently making more stringent enforcement, and prosecution is now done by our city attorney, so that keeps it local and much better hands. And also, our city also does the monthly graffiti paint-outs, which lots of people show up, and I've seen many of the council members even get a little paintbrush in their hand and help combat graffiti. I have a humble request. I know, Mayor, I presented or at least briefly spoke with you the option of putting mosaics up, as other cities such as Huntington Beach have put up mosaics as a good way to combat graffiti, because as mosaics, it's tile. If anybody tries to paint them, you can just use paint thinner. It comes right off. And it does help, in fact, beautify the city. So in my humble efforts, I just wanted to present to you, it's not completed, but I would like to do a bus bench, one of the city bus benches that we have here, the cement ones, which often get hit with graffiti. I would like to be able to put some ceramic tile, and I sort of have the beginnings of what I'd like to put on there, if you'll allow me to show you. Be right back. I took the liberty of doing one little tiny bench. I know that you've put up tiles, an actual tile in the centerpiece, but that's many of the actual bus benches have been pried out. But when you use mosaic tiles, if you try to damage it, you get 101 little pieces. You don't get like one big tile. So that's one of the advantages to doing mosaics. This is part of it. It's sort of a spring springtime theme with flowers, putting sort of a permanent flowers in Garden Grove. That's one portion of it. Not finished, but same idea, spring, or this is more of a summer, brighter colors, some kind of thing. This would be on one end, the Garden Grove with the strawberries, and I would like to put this on a bench that's on Chapman, right in front of the First Christian Church. If you would be kind enough to allow me to do so, I would have it ready up with the grout and so forth for our Strawberry Festival. And so this would be on one end. You'd have the 2 flower panels in between. And the last one's my favorite. My rendition of our city's thing. Here's the actual, would have been the seal, but I sort of beautified it with the sunflower to go with the garden in Garden Grove. So I would really appreciate your consideration and look forward to your reply. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Someone will get back to you this week, okay? Thank you. Charles Mitchell.
That's what I've been doing.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and staff. Last week, we celebrated the beautiful homes in Garden Grove. These are clean, well-maintained properties. What about the ones that are not maintained? We have many homes that are allowed to deteriorate to the point that they become an embarrassment to our community. There are cars parked on the lawns, debris and clutter in front of the house and yards that are left to grow unkempt. Now, this situation is the responsibility of code enforcement. For the past several years, I've had the honor of serving with several fellow volunteers and following up on code violations. Recently, however, we have been told that we can no longer serve in that capacity. The police department has a new procedure that requires us to be folded into the Volunteers in Policing program. The new policy has several requirements. Instead of the 4 or sometimes 8 hours a month we had been putting in, we are now required to volunteer at least 20 hours a month, serving in many other duties that we may not even be interested in. An additional requirement for us is to provide a complete background check from the day we were born. The stack of papers is half an inch thick and includes certified copies of our birth certificate, any marriage licenses, any divorce decrees, sealed transcripts of every school we ever attended, all traffic violations and accidents, and any and all military records, including a list of our duties. I'm sorry, but that information is classified. I understand that this is because we may be filing papers as part of our volunteering duties, which might contain sensitive information, and because we will have access to the police headquarters. This is a slap in the face to all the people who only desire to serve their city as code enforcement volunteers. Personally, I don't really have any interest in ever going into that building. Over the years, I've been investigated at least 3 times by the FBI for security clearances and by the Orange County Sheriff's Department to see if I was a suitable person to serve on the grand jury. However, I am a veteran, and according to someone in our Department of Homeland Security, that makes me a potential domestic terrorist. this is more than a slap in the face to all those men and women who have served and continue to risk their lives in defense of this city, this country, and freedom for people around the world. So, to our city manager and our chief of police, I can only say thanks, but no thanks, and good night.
Good night. Okay, Josh McIntosh. You filled out 2 cards for all communications. You only get 1.
Okay, I can.
You do 5 minutes, that's the limit, okay?
No problem.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, everybody else, good to see you tonight. I'm proud to say that I'll soon to become a first-time homeowner in the city of Garden Grove, and I've come to the council and the city to ask Garden Grove to adopt the Mills Act. It's an act designed to maintain the preservation of classic homes in the city. It's a nationwide effort in order to maintain beautiful old homes. We don't have many left. We've probably got more Starbucks than classic homes now. Anyways, I'd like you to consider it, contact the tax assessor's office, and see what benefits it could bring the city, as well as restoring some local pride in, I'll just tell you right now, 10832 Stanford Avenue, getting the Rayburn House. If you guys know what that is, it's the beautiful one across from the Catholic Church on Stanford. Check it out. Very proud. Okay, part 2. As far as fixing up Harbor Boulevard, big dream for a water park and whatnot, it's going to run up a lot of water bills. Hopefully, Garden Grove residents may get a tax break if they bring in their water bill for admission. Okay, if that goes through. But what you really need to do is get an In-N-Out burger at the corner closest to Anaheim, get all the California tourists that want an In-N-Out burger, and Garden Grove will make some money. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Abel Sanchez Nunez.
Say it again.
Abel Sanchez Nunez. Okay.
My name is Abel Nunez, Sanchez Nunez, and I'm here to speak for my family and myself on behalf of the relocation plan that the city has bound to take to do with the trailer park that we live on. They I'm sorry, my nerves.
It's okay, you're doing fine. Just relax. Okay.
My nerves are really, really bad. Okay. At that place, we've been living for 12 years, my family and I. And so they have a plan of relocation that they say it's going to take place in several months or probably within a couple of years. We don't know. We in a state of that we don't know exactly what is going to happen to the park, but since the time we've been living there, it's has been really given us a lot of concern. Okay. My question to all of you is that relocation plan for my children will be that they'll be in a different location, and there will be an out of reach for the schools, and for the jobs that I'm sustaining, one and my wife, it's going to be really difficult for her to go to work. And they say they're going to send us to a place that's probably very far. So at this time, I think the place we live is really, it's over the 12 years we've been here in Garden Grove, it's a nice place for them to attend school. So far, I have a son, a 10-year-old, that he's doing a lot. He's doing good at that school, and his study is really it's marvelous. I love my son, and I have a daughter, a 3-year-old, and those are my biggest concern. If they want to go ahead and they do the relocation plan that they are talking about, it's gonna do us a lot of wrong in our family, because of that our children and for us, it's going to be very difficult to get to work and for the children to go to school, and as they're doing now, that's my biggest concern, my family. And also, I want to say something. They had a plan of relocating us and offering us $5,000 for the movement, because the city of Garden Grove is planning to turn that place into hotels or other businesses there. They're going to give Garden Grove a lot of money. And so the city of Garden Grove is not thinking of the families that were there. First off, the education of our children, the well-being of our families, and if they went ahead and do us that, it's we're going to be like left on the side of the road. Just with that money, we're not going to get nowhere. With that, the place we live is we've been there for a lot of years, and I understand there is a plan for better being of the city, but they have to understand also the well-being of our families. And with that, I just want to thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Marina Limon. No, they're under the just Matt wants to do it this way, and it makes sense. Marina Limon.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Marina Limón. Y soy,
My name is Marina Limón.
soy residente de Garden Grove por 22 años.
I'm a Garden Grove resident for the last 22 years.
Y estoy hablando aquí, estamos aquí 50 residentes del trailer park que está en Harbor Boulevard.
There are 50 of us that are residents here today that are from the trailer park on Harbor Boulevard.
Bajo este plan va a ser muy difícil sigamos con las residentes del área en el futuro.
Under this plan, it's going to be really difficult for us to continue being residents of the area in the future.
Muchos de nosotros vamos a ver un aumento por más de $1,000.
A lot of us will see rent increases of over $1,000 a month.
Además, la ciudad quiere sacarnos ahora con una oferta de $5,000 y nada más. Eso no es justo, solamente quieren evitar pagar la reubicación.
In addition, the city wants to take us out of the park now with offers of $5,000 and nothing else, and that's not right because they just want to get out of having to pay relocation money.
Finalmente, desde que la ciudad compró esta propiedad, no la ha mantenido en condiciones muy buenas, más bien son inhumanas. No es justo que ahora nos quieran sacar cuando ni siquiera está dispuesto a mantener la propiedad en buenas condiciones.
Also, ever since the city acquired this property, They have not maintained it in very good conditions. In fact, it's in inhumane conditions. And it is not right that now they want to get us out of the property when they're not even willing to maintain the property in good condition.
Para resumir, estamos opuestos al plan de reubicación y pedimos a la ciudad que vote no.
In summary, we are against the relocation plan, and we are asking the city to vote no.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jose Sanchez.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es José Sánchez y vivo en el Harbor, en el RV Park del Harbor 2721 Boulevard. He vivido.
Good afternoon. My name is Jose Sanchez. I live at the RV Park at 12721 Harbor Boulevard.
He vivido ahí por más de 10 años.
I've lived there for over 10 years.
Tengo 3 hijos que están en las escuelas de Garden Grove. Un niño de 12, de 7, una niña y una niña de 19 meses.
I have 3 kids that are in school in Garden Grove. I guess 2 kids. One that's my son is 12, my daughter is 7, and my other daughter is 19 months.
Y mi preocupación es porque el mayor tiempo han asistido a las escuelas de Garden Grove. He vivido en Garden Grove porque pienso que es un lugar seguro para mi familia.
My biggest concern is that for the majority of my kids' lives, they've gone to Garden Grove schools, and I've lived in Garden Grove because I think that this is a safe place for my family.
Y estoy inconforme con el plan de reubicación.
I disagree with the relocation plan.
Porque va a causar un impacto muy grande en mi familia y va a ser imposible encontrar un lugar que esté conforme a mis ingresos para pagar mi renta, porque va a ser un incremento como de $1,000.
Because it's going to have a very bad impact on my family. I am not going to be able to find a place to rent in this area that I will be able to pay with my income, because I'm looking at almost $1,000 rent increase.
Pienso que la ciudad ha pensado mucho en el proyecto que tienen planeado.
I think that the city has put a lot of thought into the project that's being proposed.
Pero también pienso que tienen que empezar sobre las 50 familias que estamos ahí, que tenemos hijos.
But I think the city also needs to put some thought into the 50 families that live here with our kids.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Randy Maynor or Mayror? I'm not sure. I hope I didn't butcher your name.
Oh, you did it pretty good.
Okay.
Much better than most.
Thank you.
Again, my name is Randy Maynor. I've lived here in Garden Grove for 14, 15 years, but I've lived in the park for 11. At one time, I made a good living as being a heavy equipment operator. And then I became disabled. And I know most of you probably know somebody that's on disability and can realize how little income that leaves you. One advantage that I had in the park is that the rent for the space that I live in is barely affordable to my income. A relocation plan that's been offered to us until last week wasn't even divulged. We are offered the $5,000 that you people have been hearing about again and again through omission. And when I grew up, I was told omission is just as much as a lie as lying is. They were never informed until last week of any relocation program or rights given to us by the state, the county, or the federal government, which I'm really disappointed in. I think if this were to be done right, that should have never happened. But this, as in the past, has been the attitude that the city has given the travel park residents since the city purchased the property. We realize that you people want to redevelop this area, and we know that eventually that it will be redeveloped. But at what cost to us is our question. So all we want is a straightforward answer. And it doesn't take that much time to be honest than deceitful. And I think that if you approach the 50 families that are here today, and believe me, there are more than that are here today, but that have been intimidated, and that's why they aren't here today. If you'd approach us on an honest one-to-one square footage foundation, I think that you'd probably find that we are probably a lot easier to get along with and a lot less stubborn with our heels dug in. But right now, I can't afford to be relocated because even with a government program, I'm still going to have my retirement Social Security, and believe me, that doesn't offer me a lot, and it certainly doesn't offer me enough to stay living here in Garden City or Garden Grove. So I think people should be, straightforward and just realize that we are people too, and we have families. And these people are our neighbors, and, after, 11 years living here, very good friends. Well, that's basically all I have to say.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Elsa, is it Elsa Pop?
Good evening. My name is Elena Pop. I am an attorney. I represent the most of the remaining families that are at the park. And I just wanted to point out a few things about the redevelopment plan. I took the time to review it. And one thing that I think the council needs to keep in mind is that these folks have been living with a lot of instability since 2005, when they first got notices to vacate from the prior owner. And once they got those notices to vacate, we had a real difficult time getting the owner to rescind those notices, and after a fairly long struggle, we were able to do that. Several weeks ago, they were told by representatives of the city that the relocation process was imminent, that they were going to be relocated now. And they had visits from people that were offering $5,000 if people moved now. Now, there's nothing illegal with doing that, but it is not fair to not tell people that if they wait, they'll be entitled to much more. And I think we should expect better than that from the city. So it created some confusion. Then there was a meeting to explain the relocation plan in which folks were told, in the plan itself, it sounds like it's going to happen in the fall of 2009, but at the public meeting, we were told, may not happen at all. We don't have financing. We don't know what's going on. So what is it? We need some clarity on what's going on. Since the city took over, folks have had a lot of problems with conditions. The lighting is in really bad shape. There are lots of areas of the park that are not well lit. A bathroom was destroyed completely, so there are too many people without enough bathroom space. During the winter, it floods. The city needs to be a better landlord than it's been, and I think that it is unfair to expect people to cooperate with all of this relocation and the redevelopment while at the same time the city isn't complying with its obligations as a landlord. The city is going to benefit greatly from this project, and what are the residents of Garden Grove getting out of the project? I see a couple of problems. We're losing 114 units of what we call housing of last resort, very low-cost housing. Those 414 units must be replaced. The relocation plan talks about the ample availability of units to meet the needs of these families, but it fails to mention, yes, at significantly higher cost to them. And then when we asked the relocation consultant, very nice people, it was a very pleasant meeting, and when we asked them, so how are these people going to pay this significantly higher rent? Well, that's what the relocation assistance is for. But that relocation assistance only lasts 42 months. So how does the family who's now being asked to pay $1,000 more a month than what they were paying before, especially someone like Randy on a fixed income, on month 43, how do they pay that extra money? What the State Relocation Act requires is placement into a comparable unit. And part of the definition of comparability is rent the family can afford. If the families cannot afford this higher rent, then it's not comparable. And so we need to go back and revisit that. And we've submitted comments on Saturday, including folks' individual situations, for those that we could gather, about 20 of them, and how what is being offered is not going to be comparable because it's well more than they can afford. And finally, I think that the residents of Garden Grove particularly deserve something more than a water park. Someone's going to be making a lot of money on this project. And what you need to do is be willing to negotiate a viable community benefit package that includes replacing the housing and providing living wage jobs, both in the construction and in the actual project after it's built. Because otherwise, the only people that benefit are the developers and the tourists that come to visit. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal Sims.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Crystal Sims. I'm an attorney at the Legal Aid Society of Orange County, and I'm speaking on behalf of a resident of the Travel Country RV Park. He pays $690 a month for his space, and this gives him a space for his RV and access to public bathroom facilities in which only one of 3 showers is currently working. The bathrooms are cleaned only once a week. Over the time that the city has owned the property, the services have been reduced and rent has been increased, and one of the restroom facilities has been demolished. What I'm primarily concerned about is the manner in which occupancy levels have been determined in the relocation plan, because the impact is to considerably reduce the amount of benefits and the type of housing to which the tenants are entitled. First, the manner in which occupancy standards are defined under the Uniform Housing Code is incorrect. The Uniform Housing Code provides that a dwelling unit shall have at least one room that shall have not less than 120 square feet of floor area. Other habitable rooms which do not include kitchens or bathrooms shall have an area of not less than 70 square feet. Where more than 2 people occupy a room used for sleeping purposes, the required floor area shall be increased at the rate of 50 square feet for each occupant in excess of 2. The report also claims that the federal standard for occupancy is 2 people per common area and sleeping area. This is not the federal standard that is used in most housing programs. For example, for the voucher program as used by the Orange County Housing Authority, the head of household is entitled to 1 bedroom, and 2 people will occupy all other bedrooms. The city's definition of overcrowding in its housing element uses the federal standard, which defines overcrowding as more than 1 person per room, excluding kitchens, bathrooms, and halls. Therefore, in the report, in the example, 2 people would occupy a studio and 4 people would occupy a 1-bedroom unit. In the Orange County Housing Authority example I gave you, 4 people would occupy a 2-bedroom unit. There's obviously a very substantial difference in the amount of relocation benefits that would be paid if a 4-person household occupies a 2-bedroom unit than if they occupy a 1-bedroom unit. The occupancy standards that are used in the report are not accurate and will result in a substantial loss of relocation benefits to the tenants. I also question the availability and cost of replacement housing, because I think we all know that finding decent, safe, sanitary, and affordable housing in Orange County is very difficult. It's very hard for extremely low income and very low income tenants to find affordable housing even when they have Section 8 assistance. And then I would also second the comments made by Elena Pop with regard to a community benefits package, so that the residents who are being displaced from the RV park have the opportunity for jobs and the opportunity to improve their income situation. And I encourage you to require the developer to consider giving these residents first priority for training opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to close oral communications. We'll go to consent items.
Mr. Mayor, it's recommended that items 6A through 6L be acted on simultaneously unless a separate discussion or action is requested by a council member.
Move the balance.
I would like to pull 6H and 6J. Move to balance.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion, second, call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
6H, Mr. Dell.
Thank you, Mayor. Fellow council members, I pulled A6H to address one specific provision in the ASR, or the staff report. The salary increase that was negotiated for, with respect to the central managers are in line with what we have worked out in our forecast and our plan. The provision to allow the city manager to provide as additional compensation to central managers up to 80 hours of vacation time a year on a discretionary basis, I think is something that we need to look at carefully. In this time when we are asking all departments, all of our employees, and the people of our city to tighten our belts and to make do with what we have, I don't know if it's prudent at this time to grant this provision for additional compensation. This will increase the cost to our budget, to the employees that, or the salaries that we have planned for the year. And so with that, I would move item 6H, but would ask or move the council to delete that provision for the discretionary vacation time.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Mr. Clark, is this within the budget?
Yes.
Is this both, are you talking about both items, H and J?
No, just H.
Okay, I have a motion.
I move we approve.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, call for the vote.
Second.
Wait. The motion, was it seconded?
I think you,
Yes.
My motion was seconded? Oh,
Yes.
No.
it wasn't seconded.
well, I understood it. You were seconding his motion, weren't you?
No, sir, no.
Oh, well then, okay.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor which is made by Councilmember Doe, which has not been seconded yet. So if there's not a
Okay,
second,
died for lack of second.
die for lack of.
That's what I should
Go
have,
ahead.
waited. I'm
Okay,
sorry,
now-
I should have waited for that, sir.
Yes, now make your motion.
I make a move when we approve, motion we approve.
I second. With the report on fiscal impact, I see the elimination of 2 represented positions, and staff representing that it's a significant savings, so therefore I second.
Okay, call for the vote. Somebody's not,
Motion received, 4 yes votes, with Councilmember Doe voting no.
okay, 6J,
6J, similarly, Mayor, 2 provisions. One is the equity increases to the middle managers to receive a 5% increase, and also to allow the middle managers to carry over an additional 40 hours of vacation time a year, in addition to what they are allowed to accrue now under the current contract. And again, there will be a fiscal impact to our budget, negative impact that is. And again, for the same reason, we're asking everyone to tighten our belts and to live within our means, and I don't think this is the time to be doing what we perceive to be an inequity or to catch up with some kind of compensation imbalance. I think if we would do better next year, we will address this again, but for now, let's just stay put. We don't know what the conditions will be like next year, so this is not the time to obligate ourselves to even more in terms of employee salaries. So I move to pass 6J minus the 2 provisions that I identified, which is the equity increase of 5% for the middle managers and the 40 hours of additional carryover vacation time.
You have a motion? Do I have a second? Okay, died for lack of second.
I'll make a motion, we approve 6J as it is.
Second.
Okay, call for the vote.
Mr. Mayor. Motion received 4 yes votes with Councilmember Doe voting no.
Okay, I believe we go to the agency.
Okay, at this time, Carl, please show that everybody's here, Kathy. At this time, we went into closed session for public, we went into closed session, which we had public input for, and it was on conference for real property negotiations. We have nothing back to report on that. We have done oral communications, and we can go to consent items.
Mr. Chairman, it's recommended that just items 4A and...
Go to items for consideration.
Mr. Mayor, we have a proposed ordinance for the Buena Clinton redevelopment project area extending the limits for that plan, and Chet Yoshizaki is here to give a report on this item.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, the ordinance that we have before you this evening is for the purpose of introduction and first reading, which proposes to eliminate the limit upon which to incur in the Buena Clinton project area. Just by way of background, the Buena Clinton project area is about 38 acres in the southeastern quadrant of the city. Primarily residential in nature, the project over the last 2.5 decades improved approximately 200, almost 300 units by way of rehabbing, preserving the units from falling into disrepair. In addition to that, placing covenants for affordability in different lengths of time periods, some as short as 15 years, some as long as 50 years. By state law, the agencies had to put a time limit upon which to incur debt in a project area, and with respect to the Buena Clinton project area, that expired in 2004. The life of the project area still extends out to 2020, and there is still need to continually rehab those units, keep them in a safe, orderly condition, and just making it a good environment for the residents that are there. And so we are proposing the ordinance, which would accomplish a plan amendment, eliminating that limitation to incur debt. And what that means is that the agency can then enter into an agreement with other potential owners and developers to continually maintain the units and to place affordable covenants on those units that are upgraded and maintained. We will try to achieve at least a 50-year covenant on those units that are put into a project from this point forward. The only fiscal impact on this action from a positive sense would be to be able to use our 20% set aside in maintaining these units. The only downside is that possibility with this amendment, there will be additional tax sharing with the various taxing agencies throughout the county. For the first 11 years, it will be 25% of the incremental value, and after year 12, it will be approximately 46%. But again, the primary effort in the Buena Clinton is to preserve and maintain the housing. With that, the agency staff recommends that the City Council introduce and have the first reading of the ordinance, and I will read it as follows. It will be an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Grove eliminating the time limit on establishment of loans, advances, and indebtedness with respect to the Buena Clinton project area and making other findings in connection therewith. That completes the staff report, and I'm available to answer any questions for you.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. That has to have a first reading.
You just did.
Okay.
Move the ordinance.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, ordinance presented for second reading.
Mr. Mayor, 10A is ordinance number 2746, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Grove approving amendment number A-148-09, an amendment to the Plan Unit Development number PUD 102-80 to allow a trade school subject to the approval of a conditional use permit.
Move the issue.
Okay, motion is second, call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, matters? Mr. Broadwater.
You know, I really have none tonight. I think we did I think the indoor water park at the hotel is going to be a fine project. I believe it, the good part about it, and it wasn't really mentioned tonight, that it's going to be a place where people go to. I mean, they're going to say, well, let's go to indoor water park for 3 days. You know, it's going to be something, it's going to be a draw. And I think that wasn't brought out tonight at all, but I think it is going to be, what do they say in the hotel business? It's going to be a destination. It's going to be a place that, hey, let's go try this for a while. And so I foresee people coming to that hotel without even going to Disneyland because it is there. So I think we did a great job tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Nguyen.
Just a couple of notes. Strawberry Festival is going to begin on the 22nd at 1 p.m. on Friday. So remember to come out. And I think we're going to cut cake like last year, right? A whole bunch of...
World's largest strawberry shortcake.
Right. Only here in Garden Grove. So come to Garden Grove. And also, if you want to live in Garden Grove, we have the first-time home buyer program. You can get the information online at comehometogardengrove.gov. And just want to wish everybody a happy May and also a belated Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. I had a wonderful time with my kids. Hopefully everyone did too. That's all I have for tonight. And I think we had a very challenging night, but it's going to be fine. The city has great staff who look into things very detailed, in very detailed ways, and also they are here, and that's their job, and they have to take it seriously. We're just elected here every 4 years, and we don't have to deal with it as much as they do, and they're here all the time. So I trust them in their recommendations, and a lot of time I depend on them for their expertise. Thank you, staff, for all your work.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thanks. Just one other kind of follow-up comment, since the central theme of this evening had to do with this water park and a large development project along our Harbor Boulevard International West Corridor. And one thing that came up explicitly in several cases, and then in conversations on some of the breaks too, was, everything you see around you right now is so bad. The news is bad, the economy is bad, all that kind of stuff. And how could we possibly be thinking about committing dollars to this type of a project at this point in time? And, we appreciate that. I mean, we're getting scrutiny for the decisions that we make up here. But just want to throw in for the record that, we have to be forward-looking in these type of situations. We got to look ahead. And right now, Disneyland is spending over $1 billion redoing the California Adventure theme park. That's going to relaunch, I believe, in 2012. You know that Disney's going to spend a lot of millions of dollars marketing that relaunch and creating a lot of excitement. Presumably, the clouds won't look as gray by that point in time, certainly not by 2014, which is 5 years from now when this hotel and theme park or water park actually comes online. So I think you have to look past what's going on out there right now and try and envision what the future is going to look like when California Adventure relaunches, when a lot of these hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars of stimulus our government is pouring in takes hold a few years out, and try and envision what the world will look like then. And I think everybody's going to be quite pleased at what comes out of the ground and how well it performs once it does.
Thank you, Mr. Dell.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we have a bit of good news tonight, and I relayed this information to some of the mayor and some of the council members already. would like to inform the rest of you and the staff and the people of City of Garden Grove. This morning, the Board of Supervisors voted to approve the list of the Road Fund 1B projects. This is the money coming from the state. And Supervisor Nguyen fought for these projects. And I'm very pleased to announce that the City of Garden Grove just got allocated $1 million for our street overlays. And so I have talked to Mr. Keith Jones, and I'm hoping that we can break ground on this project within 30 to hopefully 45 days, Mr. Jones. And when we do so, I hope to invite the council and the mayor. Maybe we can have a groundbreaking with Supervisor Janet Nguyen to thank her for her work.
Thank you. I received a letter recently from Stephen J. Gauthier, the director of the Government Finance Officers Association. And I'm going to just read a paragraph. It says, Dear Mayor Dalton, we're pleased to notify you that your comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2008 qualifies for a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by a government and its management. The Certificate of Achievement plaque will be shipped, and it's to Kingsley Orikari. Okay. I knew I was going to do that. A finance director, and I tell you, Kingsley does an outstanding job, and we're in good. Okay, you're laughing at me over there, Keith? I'm not going to burn you on television. Okaraki. Anyway, he does a great job, and you've seen him, you've listened to him, and he's reported, and he really does know where the nickels are going and coming from, and he does a heck of a job, and I can't wait to get the plaque so we can present it to him formally at a council meeting. And I'd like to adjourn the council meeting in the memory of a couple people. Bill Knight, Gail Knight's husband, passed away recently, and his services were May 8th. Gail is the founder and CEO of Hope, Caring for Children. And Michael Zappatelli, Christy Borak's father, recently passed away, and his services were May 7th. Christy's a former city employee, serving as the city council liaison, community meeting center supervisor, and the citywide events coordinator. Our thoughts and our prayers go out to both families. We will now adjourn the council meeting to Tuesday, May 26th at 5:30 p.m.